Okay, Pete, so here is how to build that app that would simulate, randomizing the scatter plot, capturing those slopes, putting those slopes into a dot plot. So the data I'm going to use, I like this data on the Introduction to Statistical Investigations. Um, so I'll scroll down here to Chapter 7, and I think I'll just pick the marriage ages. And I'll select all of that, and I'll copy it. And then I'll go back to the home page. And typically, I told you in the session that I like to use version 5, but I'll use version 6 just to show you that it can be done. So I'm going to click on the GeoGebra Classic. And I need a place to put this data that I just copied from that other page. So I'm going to click up here on the 3 pancakes. I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to go down to View. And I'm going to click on the spreadsheet. And I'm going to click on the cell A1, and I'm going to right click and select paste. And so what I'd like to do now is if I click on column A, I can create a list. And I'm going to call this list H. And if you'll notice that there's also that husband at the beginning, we'll take care of that in a second. I'll click on create. I'll do the same thing for the wife data. So I'll click on column B, click on the list button, and I'll give it a name of W. And again, there's also that wife at the beginning. I'll take care of that. So what I'll do is husband and wife are both in cell A1 and B1 respectively. So I'll click in this and I'll delete cell A1. And I'll do the same thing here for wife, and I'll delete cell B1. And so what I want to do then is I want to go ahead and create, I don't need the spreadsheet anymore, so I'll hide that spreadsheet. I want to go ahead and create the scatter plot of this data. And so I just want to graph H comma W. And if I go over here into my graphing area and right click on a white space, I can select zoom to fit. And then I can zoom in or out, and there's my data. That's not bad. I'm going to click on the data, right click on it, and I'm going to go to settings. And what I want to do is I want to make the color, I just want to make it a little bit lighter, kind of light gray. And the style, I'll go ahead and make the points kind of empty because I really don't want this to be noticed, and make the points kind of smaller. Because I'm just going to compare my randomized data plots to this. And I want to put the line of best fit, so the command for this is called fit line. And in parentheses, I want to put a fit line to L1. And there's my equation, but I'll also put it over here as well. So I'll click on it. Click on that little icon there, and I'll choose to show the value. And so that's my line. So what I want to do next, I want to create a scatter plot that has this data shuffled up. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to call this set SH for shuffled husband. And that's going to be the shuffle of set H. And I can do the same thing for the women's if you want to. So I'll call this SW, and that will be the shuffle of W. And I want to go ahead and plot this data. So I'll go SH, comma, SW. And so there is that data. And I'll click on that and maybe change its color to something a little bit brighter, like that pink. And I want to put the line on that. I want to go fit line. And this is L2. And like I did before, I'll go ahead and I'll show the equation of the line. Now that line is G, and I need to create the slope of that. So I want the slope of line G. And so the slope is A. That's okay. I just need to remember that. And what I need to do next, I need to create an empty list to put all this slope data. So I will call this slopes equals the an empty set. And then to randomize this data, I'm going to use a slider. So I'll just drag this slider back and forth. So in my slider, I'll click down there in the white space, and everything is fine. The slider's name is B, minimum, maximum, that's all good. I don't need anything else. And so what I need to do now is I need to set up the slider so when I drag the slider back and forth, it will re-randomize this page, and it will also capture the slope, which is A, and we'll put it in this set slopes, which is empty right now. So I'm going to right-click on the slider, and I'm going to go to the settings. And in the settings, I'm going to go to the scripting tab. And so every time I drag that slider, I want to update the construction. And so that will re-randomize the shuffling feature. And then I also want to set the value of the slopes set to append to that slope set the value of my slope, which is A. And so that is the script that I place in the little scripting area. I'll close that. And so pay attention to this slope set right here in the lower left-hand corner. As I drag my slider back and forth, I populate that with different slopes. And let's see how many are in there just for kicks. So the length of my slopes set is 58. So as I drag my slider back and forth, you see I'm populating that set pretty quickly. And so right now there are 214 slopes in that set. So let's go back up here to the 3 pancakes and select Graphics 2. And what I want to do is I'm going to click in that area to kind of activate that window. And what I want to do is I want to create a dot plot. So dot plot. And you can see it takes a list of raw data. And do you want to stack adjacent dots? I do want to do that. And I won't worry about the scale factor. So my dot plot in this case is is slopes, S-L-O-P-S, P-E-S, and then I want to set this other variable to true. What that does is that takes slope values that are close to each other and it kind of puts them in the same row or column of dots, if you will. And so I'm going to right click over here in this area and I'm going to select zoom to fit. And I'm going to change the color of this so it's a little bit easier to see things. So let's see. Maybe like that. That's not bad. And I honestly don't need anything else over here anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and close this window. And this is my, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Let's shake the slider back and forth. So I had to pause the video. My wife was calling on her way home from work. So let me drag this slider around a bit. So I think the only thing that I really need to do is I need to create a button that will erase all this data so I can start again. So let me click over here and let me create a button. And I'll click over there and I want this to be a reset button. And really the only thing I want to do is I want my slopes set to be equal to the empty set. That's really all I want it to do. And so put that tool away before I do anything else. And then click on the reset button. There it is. And then I can shake that back and forth. Now if I remember, let me get that algebra view back again for just a moment. This is my count. So I'm going to take that number, I'm going to drag it over here and plop it down. And then I'll go ahead and close that window because I don't need that anymore. And so when I reset it, I have an idea of how much or how many data points are over there in the slope dot plot. And the only thing I think I have left to do is if I right click on this or just click on it, I want to make it a little bit thinner and I want to change the color. And then I want to click on it or right click on it and select show trace. And so what I can do is I can shake that slider around and I can see all those different slopes. And it certainly appears, ooh, I got close one right there, man. I got one that was really, really close to 0.88. But generally speaking, I don't see anything that is, look how close that was. I mean, there's just nothing that gets out there. You know, so I would certainly say that seeing a slope of 0.88 is highly unusual if there was no association. So Pete, that's that, man. A lot of stuff there. See if you can follow this. And again, feel free to email me at any time and I can help you again. And let me know what I can do to help.